Angela, without her uniform, her skills are pedestrian. Check out these animations. They are boring. You got that Xanax ready? Because you're going to sleep. But when you put on the uniform, when you put on that fire-based uniform, it goes from day to night. She is an absolute beast, and she does it in style. Check this out. Fire AoE. Get the popcorn out, boys. This is a movie. Let's pretend Goliath is one of your 5 top dogs. We're going to create a private game. Then we're going to open it to the public. Now, when we see a player that could out DPS us, Hulk can't. But in this case, if we had somebody like Angela or Loki, you just click it and you kick it. Click it and kick it, guys. It's that simple. Now, yes, you will be branded a scumbag for this. Yes, the Reddit people will hate you for this. But that's okay. This is all about the gold farm, guys. And as we can see with the Netmarble updates, gold is becoming increasingly more of a precious and valuable resource that we need to fight tooth and nail for. And if we got to fight against our brothers and sisters in the co-op for it, then so be it. See, that Hulk, he heard me. He heard that I was a scumbag. He left the group. So now I got to wait for another group. And the goal, guys, is just to get top DPS. Top DPS is going to get you that perfect or best reward a lot faster. You're going to get it on 4 tries rather than a maximum of like 7 or 6 when you get the lowest score. So we don't want that, guys. We want to maximize our gold output, and we want to minimize the time that we're spent playing this mode, because once you get up to like 50, 60, 70 characters unlocked, this game mode takes hours, and ain't nobody got time for that. So here we go. We spent about 30 seconds. Boom, there you have it, guys. Now, if that was uniformed Elsa, she probably would have out DPS'd me or come very close. So we do not want that. If you see uniformed Elsa, you kick her. Okay, guys? We're not here to win no honor awards, you know? We're not here for a Medal of Honor. Okay? This is not an FPS, guys. Just get that sweet, sweet gold. And other loot, as you guys can see. Dimension debris, useless ISOs, etc. Okay, guys? So, Hulkbuster, you're gone. Ant-Man, sure. Ant-Man's low DPS. I love that. Spider-Man? Okay, Miles Morales, we can do that. Oh, he doesn't want to tangle with us. Okay. Okay. Double Hulkbuster. That's kinky. We don't want any of that. So I think if you're going to seriously consider Icarus for PvP, you have to seriously consider getting Cersei too, because it's like apples and peanut butter. They just go together so well. Because otherwise, if you don't have Cersei, not only do you have to bring in a debuff leadership, but then you also have to use the debuff leadership, which means you lose the 90%. So his energy attack is at 51,000. If I bring Cersei back, his energy attack goes up to 68,000. That's in 17,000 difference, on top of the fact that she gives him debuff immunity. The biggest issue with Marvel Future Fight as far as recommending changes and recommending upgrades is how big the game already is. Right, we have so many game modes. We just got a new game mode recently, and we are 245 characters strong. So I think one of the first things that you need to realize, or I think that the first thing people need to take into consideration, is that adding to a cake that's already 3 layers, 4 layers tall, we're talking like an Omega wedding cake, is tricky, right? It's adding pieces to the top of the Jenga tower when it's already double its size, right? Gilgamesh in the movie is basically just all about power. He creates these like cosmic gauntlets, and then he just punches. He punches fools, and he just uppercuts fools, and he just punches. He's Mike Tyson. He's Mike Tyson if he were a cosmic entity, essentially. And it's just haymaker after haymaker, and it's so satisfying. You've got to see it in theaters, because the way he throws punches, the way that Don Lee throws punches is absolutely amazing. One thing that may work in her favor for those of you that don't have any Pierce or have very little Pierce. So we experienced this when Null first came out, because I had not reworked and I hadn't crafted my cards when I got Null, and Null also has 5% Pierce. They're the only 2 characters, Thana and Null. He seems a lot better when you don't have any Pierce, but once you get Pierce and you start comparing Null to other characters, he doesn't seem so overpowered. He's still very good, but he's just not so broken, right? It's like when you're the only person on the battlefield who has a gun and everyone else is using swords, it's pretty OP. But now when everyone has a gun and you have a gun too, okay, you got extra bullets, but it's still a gun. A gun is a gun.
Not the best analogy, but you kind of get what I'm saying, right? The other annoying thing that I don't know if I touched on in the previous video, but they gave her souped up look first. And this is the perplexing thing. They did this for Jean Grey technically as well, because the Marvel Girl uniform is when she doesn't have the Phoenix Force anymore. But in this case, if they were to give her the Maya Lopez, the uniform from the Hawkeye show, where she's just you know, a woman in a leather jacket and boots, right? Like she's dressed in streetwear, right? You know, she's a gang leader. She's not gonna have the Phoenix Force, right? And so if she got a uniform that would give her more power, it actually depowers her. So it's sort of like if they released the Void uniform for, like, it's like if they released Void as a character and then made Sentry his uniform, right? Not the perfect example, but you kind of get what I'm saying. It's like releasing Iron Man as a character and then making Tony Stark his uniform. This doesn't make any sense. You're making the character worse, right? You're not going to release a uniform that makes the character work. Anyways, so I don't know if she's ever going to get a uniform. I also don't know if she's ever going to get a tier 3 or a Transcendence, but I honestly hope so for all the other people that are just, you know, being brain melted over here, waiting to use their resources. I have nothing to say but my deepest and most sincere condolences. And I really hope that the devs pick up the pace here, because I don't know, there's no reason not to. There's no reason why in 2022, nearly 4 years after Tier 3 was introduced and 2 years since Transcendence was introduced, we're getting these small micro penis updates. We need to be getting the Giga Chad BBC updates all the time, and I'm not sure why that needed to be the analogy, but it is, because I feel like I'm getting screwed here. He's gonna push us, hopefully, and look at the targeting on the Tier 3. He turns around and you still get so much of that damage guaranteed. It's so good. His Tier 3 reminds me a lot of Sharon Rogers' Tier 3, except for the bonus fact that you have much, much better targeting. And then we actually have Null himself. I wanted to put him higher, but at this point, I'm really not using him for any content. Null has sort of the unlucky title of being very good for newer players and for players who don't have a lot of Pierce on their accounts, and then he gradually loses value as you build up. So he's sort of like your third girlfriend. It's not your first girlfriend, so you sort of know what you're doing, but you're also not at that point in your life, or boyfriend, whatever. The analogy goes either way, and for every other way that there is. But they're sort of like the third dating partner, I should say, that you have, where you sort of know what you're doing, but you know also that you're not quite done growing as a person. So you're probably going to outgrow them, or maybe they're going to outgrow you or whatever. But that's sort of how Null is. He's amazing for new players, all obviously too expensive for brand new players, but you get my point. He's amazing for new players all the way up until you get about 8 to 10% Pierce. And last but not least, I'm actually going to put Sentry here. Now, I know a lot of you watching use Sentry in PvP, and you still get a lot of wins. Oh, my Sentry on auto does A, B, and C. But frankly, the truth is that Sentry is not even the 5th scariest target in PvP anymore. And he's sort of just like, he's like Norton antivirus. He's the first antivirus that hackers learn to crack, and that's like their baby steps into the world of hacking and making viruses or whatever, you know, rooting software and that sort of thing. That's sort of like Sentry. If your character, if a new uniform can beat Sentry in PvP, it's like, okay, they've got their foothold. Let's see how they perform against all of the real opponents now.